The third episode of the amazing digital circus proved to be truly thrilling. Not only did it impress with its horror atmosphere and deeper character reveals, but it also left many viewers in a state of shock. Don't worry, Gooseworx has already reassured fans by confirming that this episode was the only one with such a distinct horror theme. At least unless events become even more frightening in the future. Let's gather all the creepiest moments of the third episode that really made us shudder. The first moments of horror in the amazing digital circus begin with the appearance of the so-called Angel of God. Yes, this is the very same angel mentioned by the narrator or Baron Mildenhall. In this episode, Kinger and Pomni find themselves embroiled in the creepiest quest on the maximum difficulty level, the plot of the so-called adventure. Baron Mildenhall decapitates an angel, but only afterwards realizes who he has actually destroyed. The first appearance of this creature is one of the most frightening moments. The screamer itself was quite unusual. Instead of a sudden fright, the fear came on slowly, as if taking over the mind. This created a double horror effect, an abrupt moment of fear mixed with a lingering sense of growing creepiness. The scene is enhanced by the fact that the creature screams deafeningly, and while doing so it literally glows in the dark. This combination of sound and light made the scene even more tense and frightening. Although the angel is referred to as an angel, very little is known about him. All we know is that he is an NPC with little backstory, but despite that, his presence was one of the most ominous and memorable moments in the episode. A certain sinister creature began to torment Baron Mildenhall and his family. In a fit of madness, Mildenhall decided to kill this creature, called an angel, and beheaded it. However, paranoia took over, and in this madness he shot his wife. Despite the name, there was little angelic about this angel. If you take a full look at it, you can realize that its past incarnation was far more frightening. It had once been a being with a full body, but now all that was left of it was a hovering head. And his body that crawls out of the tube shows his true form, the form it originally was. Now with the addition of wings, the creature looks more like an angel, though this only adds to its sinister nature. The creepiest moment has to do with its first appearance. We don't know what exactly we're up against, we don't understand how to fight the creature or what happens if it catches us. One of the most frightening episodes is when the angel almost grabs the king, nearly consuming him. As the plot progresses, the fear of the creature eases a bit, as we begin to get used to its presence. And when a shotgun appears in our hands, the confidence to fight it becomes a little higher, but the horror left by the first encounter lingers in our minds for a long time. Therapy seems like fun, but if you try to put yourself in Zubul's shoes, things don't look so fun anymore. Zubul doesn't take part in the adventures Kane is having because she's bored with it all. In response, Kane decides to organize a therapy session for her to find out what the problem is, but is he trying to help Zubul? Not at all. Kane is not a friend who will listen and support her. It's just an artificial intelligence that doesn't care about Zubul's feelings. It only arranges a therapy session because it acts as a manager, asking questions about her wishes, asking the pros and cons of the adventure to make changes. But Zubul doesn't need that kind of talk. She understands perfectly well that it's pointless to explain anything because Kane doesn't listen to her. His main task is to make Zubul participate in his adventures again. Zubul tries to convey that it's not about the adventure, it's about her, but Kane doesn't get it. It's like he's trying to force her to have fun. This scene is scary in that you're trying to explain your problem and they don't understand you. But it's not even the person, it's the artificial intelligence that simply doesn't care about you. All Kane needs is feedback, and it doesn't listen to Zubul. This situation is getting annoying, because it is simply impossible to explain anything to this digital dummy. The scary thing is that Zubul, in its attempt to reach Kane, is almost breaking it. A little more, and it could destroy the entire digital circus along with all of its inhabitants. This moment is especially frightening, because it could have ended in disaster. It's a good thing that Kane can be brought out of the malfunction by starting a dialogue with him again, because he can't help but respond. But if Zubul had been completely desperate and didn't care anymore, things could have taken a turn for the worse. It's scary to imagine what would have happened if Kane couldn't be put back to work. Then the consequences could have been fatal. Obsession with Pomni's! Oh yeah. I think everyone remembers this one because Pomni is a key and favorite character for many circus goers. And then something strange happens to her. Ghosts are possessing her, and they are NPCs. What can they do like that? Yeah, Kane has created something like this before, where NPCs can do whatever they want to people. Depends on the context of the adventure and what these NPCs will be doing. In our case, it's ghosts taking over the body and mind. Kane's words come to mind. The mind is the one thing he can't control, but if Kane itself can't, then why can regular NPCs who are programmed to do so? It's also curious what Pomni was feeling in these moments, but clearly she couldn't control her cartoon body. And did she realize what was happening? Good thing the Kinger with a shotgun was close by, or Pomni would have been in a bad way. And okay, the Kinger was close. What if he wasn't? What if Pomni had gotten in there alone? After all, she was there by accident, she didn't want to go on this stupid scary adventure, and it was created purely for adult Zooble, so it was kind of assumed that this adventure and this level of difficulty was made specifically for her. Maybe Jax could go there, but not really. He's more into troublemaking himself than getting scared. And I can't imagine what would have happened if things had turned out differently and Pomni had actually gotten stuck there. What if Kinger hadn't figured out not to go into the haunted hallway? If they'd both gone in there and gotten possessed? Kane didn't think it through that much. There could have been other characters there. They might not have thought it through. I'm really wondering what to do in that case. Would the quest sort of be considered a failure? That character back to the tent, as we learned in the same third episode. Kane has a knack for moving characters back to his place. All he has to do is snap his fingers to fix it. Maybe, and then maybe he would have made a point to make the adventure a little softer. I don't know, that's a pretty weird looking thing to do. It's impossible not to mention one of the creepiest moments, the story of Baron Mildenhall, which left a deep impact in the third episode. All the scary scenes in the episode would be incomplete if it weren't for this sinister mystery of Mildenhall Manor. You have to hand it to Kane. He really put effort into the backstory of the characters, making them more lively and intriguing. Baron Theodore, also known as Baron Mildenhall, first comes across as a charismatic storyteller who seeks to inspire fear. He tells his frightening tale of encountering a mystical creature, a monster with the face of an angel, which immediately creates an unsettling and mysterious atmosphere. However, as the plot unfolds, it becomes clear that there is something more behind the story. The Baron is not just telling a terrible legend, he himself is connected to these events much more closely than it seemed at first glance. He himself may have fallen victim to the monster, or even been possessed by it. His enigmatic figure, full of hidden fears and horrors of the past, makes the audience wonder where fiction ends and reality begins. This moment is particularly frightening, as the story of Baron Mildenhall gradually unfolds into something much darker and more personal. Questions about what exactly happened at Mildenhall Manor remain unanswered, adding even more creepiness. It is this kind of deep character backstory and unexpected twists and turns that make the adventure not only exciting, but also psychologically suspenseful. Later, Baron Mildenhall learns the terrible truth. At that fateful moment, he killed his wife, mistaking her for the very mystical creature that had been haunting him. It came out completely by accident, but as they say, it happens to no one. This tragic mistake adds even more darkness to his story. Although there are some comical moments in it, when Theodore is asked not to come back to life, and he calmly replies, "Okay, I won't." It's entertaining that this is even possible. Especially funny is the scene on the other part of the quest with Martha Mildenhall, when she leisurely drinks tea with the heroes who escaped the worst adventure. Over tea they discuss the fact that she was killed by her own husband. And Martha, as if nothing had happened, remarks, "Well, you know, men are so strange." This sarcastic yet light-hearted tone creates an interesting contrast to the deeply tragic situation, as her death was the result of her husband's misguided attempt to protect his family. The story ends up being both creepy and intriguing at the same time. It is a reminder of how trying to protect those you love can lead to dire consequences. Mildenhall's tragic fate serves as a prime example of how fear and paranoia can cloud the mind and turn a hero into a kind of anti-hero who ends up bringing destruction where he wanted to establish safety. So what do you think, dear viewer? What moment in episode 3 did you find scary? Write your opinion in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel